Little bit of a shorter rejected media today, talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, a movie that probably will be no shortage of rejected media. There's a lot of things we can take a look at. And a little bit back, one thing that came out that I didn't talk about was that we finally found out what that rejected joke was that was not allowed in the Deadpool and Wolverine final film. It had to be cut from the script due to Disney. This was something that Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy had actually talked about in the past. And even talking about it, they had said, Sean Levy had said, we have a pact, Ryan and I, to go to our grave with that line. But I will say that it was replaced with an equally dirty line of dialogue about Pinocchio shoving his face up Deadpool's, I'm going to say rear end because we're close to the beginning of the video, unfortunately, and starting to lie like crazy. So it was a dirty joke involving Disney. We already knew that, but that's actually come out now. And we're going to take a look at it today and if it would have changed the film really at all. Now, Rejected Media is a series that I do on this channel about things that never came to be. They can be deleted scenes, they can be rejected pitches, they can be canceled games, movies, etc. Kind of an all-encompassing series. If you want to see more of that on this channel, I have a full playlist. If you want me to talk about something, that's kind of my question of the day is there something rejected that you would like me to talk about, do a deep dive into, some research on? What would it be? And also this year, I'm trying to kind of meet a little bit of a goal, growing my other channel, Degenerate Plays, which is in the description down below, where we play through games together podcast style. So if you don't find me annoying, that will be down there, and I hope to see you there. Now, obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine was a huge success, and it didn't really pull its punches. It was willing to actually hit back at Disney and take some shots at them, and they've been doing this forever. Even back when Deadpool was under Fox, they took shots at Fox, and even in this film, they very obviously took shots at Fox. It's a very meta-commentary, parody-type story, but with an emotional heart at the center. That's how I would describe the Deadpool films. So we know that this joke was related to Disney, and actually Ryan Reynolds had revealed this a long time ago, basically saying that Disney had attempted to not interfere with the movie, something I was worried would happen when Fox was purchased by them, because Disney is not a big competition person. They love to eliminate competition by buying it up. And even look at the rumors around Sonic 3 of them not being happy with Mufasa, not blowing it out of the water. Disney doesn't take competition well. So when they bought Fox, I and a lot of people were kind of worried that they would be very, very touchy about what they did with Deadpool and, of course, the X-Men. That said, the script was actually made publicly available. You're able to read the screenplay. Now, this comes during the scene where Deadpool is talking to the survivors of the Void and asking who is left and who they can use, saying there's 4. Wait, is it Magneto? Dear sweet God in heaven, let it be Magneto, because with him, with, of course, the response being he's dead, and originally Deadpool's response was going to be, fuck. What, we can't even afford one more X-Man? Disney is so cheap. I can barely breathe with all this Mickey Mouse cock in my throat. Now here's the question. Would this line have changed anything, really? Would this line have changed the actual overall integrity of the film? I don't really think so. I don't really think this would have added very much, and obviously, like they said, it was replaced with the Pinocchio line, essentially, in around the same point. But here's the thing. They actually talked about why this was cut, something that we don't usually get information on. A lot of times when something is cut, especially with the political correctness within the entertainment industry, what you try and do and why it's hard to find information is you try and cover the ass of the person above you because you want to get more opportunities from them, right? Like you don't want to say, hey, we cut the line because the guy above me was a prude and a prick and he decided to censor my film, so screw him, because then you're not going to get more movies. Unless, of course, you're extremely successful, which this movie was. So it is nice to see that they were still tactful while revealing why this actually wasn't in there. They talked about it more actually with Reynolds going on to talk about the line, saying as soon as somebody says something like, Ryan, Bob Iger here, I would love it if you'd take that one line out. It's really going to make our life hard over here. As soon as they say that, there's just something in my brain that goes, must keep the line. It's precious. And then as soon as the fog of war lifts and you have a second thought, it's like, oh, of course I can take that out. Can I say something about Pinocchio instead? And the answer is yes. But they went on to actually talk about it being removed. And I know some people have already clicked off and they've said, well, Disney just completely censored this film. They mandated it. it was less of a mandate and more of like a very nice request, which was odd for me to hear. I assumed that it was just cut out point blank, like, you can't say this. But when they were actually talking about this in an interview, they said there was a note about this one line, and I'll say this, which is that I was asked to take the line out. I was not even mandated to take the line out. To quote someone in a very high position of leadership at Disney, "I'm in for a penny, I'm in for a pound, and if you take it out, I'd love it. If you don't, I will still love and support you, this movie, and all the hard work that went into it." So come on, at that point you go, well, do I really want to stick with pride? Do I care? Am I going to die on a hill over this one joke? Look, the answer is, of course I'm going to die on a hill over one joke, but then you sober up a few weeks later. So obviously this was something that they were thinking about when this discussion came up, and there probably were thoughts about, is Disney trying to censor this film? What should we do about it? If we say no, will they push harder? Will they not? It was a nice way to ask, and they ended up settling on removing this joke. Now, Sean Levy actually went on to talk in the same interview about how, they were a little bit more stubborn originally to remove it, saying, "Many weeks later, my buddy Ryan, he's one stubborn son of a bitch. It took weeks for the ground to soften, and we're going to take that joke to the grave." This was before the joke was revealed in the publicly released screenplay. I'll say that the joke that was written to replace the changed joke is not only as good of a joke, but maybe even smarter. And I wonder if we give away anything about the slot where it existed, Ryan. The joke they chose to replace it with? "I got Pinocchio jammed in my ass and he's lying like crazy." So essentially it took them a few weeks to actually decide to remove this. And here's the thing, they were apparently willing to allow this in the film. I would say that this is already some character growth for Disney. Disney is very, very protective of Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is their Mario. This is their flagship character. They don't want anything making Mickey Mouse look bad. Even in an era like now, where I'd argue there's probably a lot of Disney characters or characters owned by Disney that are considered more iconic than Mickey Mouse in terms of profitability and in terms of sales now, they still want Mickey Mouse to remain a household name, and they want Mickey Mouse to be brand safe. When you walk in Disney World, Disneyland, etc., or any of these places throughout the world, they're not just in America, they're in most first world countries. They have a Disney theme park, at least one. One of the most impressive is in Japan. It's just crazy. When you walk in there, they don't want you to be thinking about someone jamming their peen into Mickey Mouse, or they don't want someone thinking about Mickey Mouse putting his down Deadpool's throat. What they want you thinking about is that Disney magic. Now, does that Disney magic exist? That's up to you. Personally, I would argue probably not in terms of today. I have my own opinions on Disney. Disney is very much a company that, like I said, they don't like competition. They buy out any competition they can. They've been involved in a lot of questionable things if you do research into their business practices, but they've also produced some of my favorite things in the world, especially in the 2D animation era, all the way down to even movies like Deadpool and Wolverine, which was one of my favorite films of the last year. So it's interesting to see that they were willing to allow this, but they didn't like it. So it seems to me like this is a case where more graphic doesn't necessarily make it better. Personally, I think the Pinocchio joke is funnier and a little more creative, even though other people like Family Guy have already done that joke. The other one is, I don't know, it's just pretty on the nose. It's also a very, very copyable joke. Like, it feels to me like that joke is copying the same joke they made in the other Deadpool films about not being able to afford X-Men or not being able to have anyone else at the X-Mansion, a joke they played in Deadpool 1 and 2. It would have been consistent to put it in 3, but also I feel like it's just a repeat of the same joke for the third time, except now you're talking about Mickey Mouse's Johnson. There's just not really much more to the joke. It's been played out twice. I don't really think it would have added anything to the movie, but I'm interested to hear if thinking about Mickey Mouse's Johnson would have done a lot for you, that maybe you were on the verge of leaving, and thinking about Mickey Mouse's downstairs membership would have sat you back down in that seat, glued your eyes to the screen, and you would have been back in, locked in, gooning it, edging it, all the way to the movie, to the end of time. Let me know. But if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe. I appreciate you very much. Interested to hear your answer to the question of the day. If there are other things you want me to cover that were rejected, canceled, dropped, whatever, I would love to hear about that. Also, as well, like I said, we have other channels in the description. trying to grow those this year. Maybe you're into RPGs, we have a channel focused on it. Anime, we have a channel more focused on it. My podcast style Let's Play channel focused on it. And we do have our own store, CosmoBunny.shop, where we make our own resin pieces out of recycled comics, manga, magazines, and other pieces of paper. These are not printed images by us. They are existing pieces of paper that are often being thrown into landfills from damaged books. We take them, transform them into something new. You can use code DJAY123 for 10% off your first purchase over there, and that same code is actually our Fortnite Support a Creator code. So lots of ways to support this channel and our family of channels. Appreciate you very much going into 2025 here in the new year. Hope you have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shui.